is Kwabena. Welcome. I want to share today with you. Still under book review that I'm doing, and it's on perspective, how to develop the mindset to build, to start and build your business. And today we are on the third chapter, which is educational foundation. Educational foundation. They say that entrepreneurship or people trying to do something with their talent in terms of business is the way forward, because day in day out we have people coming out of the schools that we have, and they are all looking for employment, and we don't know who are the ones who have been gifted to create these businesses that the rest of us will go and look for. And so part of the problem is the kind of educational foundation that we seem to have been given, and how we are developing ourselves. It's very much important, because how you're educated has a lot to do with what you achieve in this life, especially the kind of importance that we give to formal education in our country. So my name is Kwabena. Welcome. And so I'll go straight and I'll read about what is in the book. The essence of education is to equip students with the ability to read and understand and start a particular career and professional path. More often than not, students choose courses not based on their natural proclivity, to do the things that they are passionate about, but based on the job market, good grades or bad grades, financial status of their sponsors, and so on. If you are in a situation where you notice that what you're reading to become professionally is not related to things you do with passion, then you can leverage on your ability to read and understand by gathering a lot of information in the areas that you have natural flow. The thing about if you went to secondary school, university, technical school, you probably were given the course based on the grades that you had, based on maybe the connections that your parents or your guide, the people who took care of you had. All kind of things come to play, and then the kind of rush that we have towards some certain courses. And so if you hardly would anybody choose course. Most people don't choose the courses from the schools based on what they want to be, what the natural gift that they have, what they want to do with their life. Most people choose the course based on the market and the society, and how much respect we have for certain courses. So we just look for courses based on the market. So I remember when we were somewhere, the people who were reading business administration from Legon seemed to believe that they had the best of courses. And then among the sciences, those who were doing the medical science and things like that thought that that was the best thing that could happen to anybody. Not necessarily so. So there is a lot of things that I think anybody should know. If you were to live in a perfect world, before you even go to take the course, you will look at what you want to do with your life before you even look at the course to take and what you will get from that course. And so you want to become, police officer or something like that. You go to school in that because that's what you want to become. You want to become a military officer. That's what they should have given you. You want to become a carpenter. That's what they should have trained you. You think that your life is about this. You get the required formal training in that. Then when you go to the field, it will be easier. Now we is just go and do anything, and then when you are out, go and look for a job. So you have people doing all kind of psychology and all kind of courses, and they are all working in the banks. no no prerequisite, special education in that, and you wonder what is happening. And so the education, it's the foundation of it. It's try and error that we have. So, for instance, if you are reading, and for me, not going to school at all, it's not as I think you should if you have the chance to read the course in an area that you have a gift, you want to do something with, it's the best. But it's still better reading any course at all than not doing anything at all. Because sometimes some people say that, oh, I want to become a business person, I want to become an entrepreneur, so I don't think I need education. uh, I don't think that is. I think you need some kind of education. It pushes you. Yes, some people cannot even read and write. They have built businesses, but the percentages are not that good. I think that your ability to gather information, analyze data, do mathematics, that ability is very critical to your entrepreneurship journey. If I could not, if my parents did not send me to school to be able to read, write, I obviously maybe will not be able to put my thoughts together as the way I'm putting them together. Maybe I will not be that much confident to argue my points out with anybody. Maybe I will not even be doing this, speaking whatever language that they have forced us to speak, because somebody held my hand and took me to school and made sure that I could become. So I think there is a certain level of education that you need if you want to become an entrepreneur in this kind of economy and in this kind of country. And I even think, don't just stop the school. Some people think that they want to stop the school and go and focus on business. If the business is not working, if the business is not exploding, if the business is not taking much time from you, why do you want to stop it and go and try? You don't, because the school, the exam that you're writing that you think is very difficult, those things, if you fail, you can't even take the pressure. You are shy. You don't want people to see that you had F and you want to go and start business. You should be able to take that and go through that. I think you get some level of confidence when you go through this kind of education that we have, even if it's not good. We all agree that the content is not good and it cannot prepare you to become something so much out of nothing. You cannot really do much with this kind of it, but it's still better. It gives you the basic tools, your ability to read, to write, and possibly your ability to do mathematics. And mathematics is really key if you look at anybody doing business, because you're doing a lot of numbers all the time. You're putting things together all the time. The money, you're looking at it all the time. You're projecting, you're planning. So it's important that you have those kind of basic skills from some of these schools, But don't say that, oh, me, I want to start business, I won't go to school. If you have the opportunity to go, go. And maybe even if you want to stop the school and focus on that business, it should be that the business has grown to a certain level that if you don't give it attention, the business may not pick. It really needs your attention now to expand, to grow. The model is working, and maybe you could be thinking of that. But I don't think most people here, because we need English to speak and to think and to build anything beyond our culture. I think that you will need to at least put yourself to some kind of education. We have a lot of things to battle with. If you were born in some of those countries where they speak the English, the culture is built. They require a lot of asking questions. They require a lot of things from you as a citizen. You don't have to go through so much to know so much to live in such society. Ours, we have our local dialect that we speak, that we have not grown it, we have not developed it that much. And then they give us another form of education, which they use English mainly, which means that there's a lot that you cannot do in terms of entrepreneurship. If you want to build your business, let's say beyond the shores of your region, beyond the shores of the country, there's a lot of skill that you can have and develop if you have the right basic education. So it's important that at least you go through the school, but that is no guarantee that the school is going to be the factor for you to succeed, especially in entrepreneurship. It gives you the basis, but there's a lot that we all have to learn. So, for instance, if you're reading agriculture engineering, which I did, but you end up showing keen interest in entrepreneurship, rather Gather books in finance, in business, in management, and products, services that you want to enter into, and read about them. So that's another thing. Most of these guys in the school, uh, you know, you are going to finish that school, come back, come to society, and you are going to look for a job. Um, if you have that, some people in school, they like trading, they like commerce, they like negotiating, they want to do something, and sometimes they're doing something is building. Don't only focus on the course content, and those are the only areas that you are gathering knowledge. It is dangerous. Start to read about things that will help you in terms of the entrepreneurship. We are talking of people. I'm talking about entrepreneurship. I'm not talking about people who want to do the other things, which is okay. Those may require different kind of education, but I'm talking about entrepreneurship and the kind of educational foundation that we seem to get. If you happen to have done other courses somewhere and you have keen interest in business, start to read about them. Gather books, read a lot. It will help you. Read a lot about business, read a lot about management, read a lot about product development, services, customer services, read a lot about the general economic, infrastructure that we have. Read a lot. Read a lot. This way, you become equally astute as though you had taken those courses, and you will become literate. You will study these areas, and by the time maybe you start the business, you have a far more advantage than the other people who would not start with a lot of information. So greatness is in doing what you are gifted to do and doing it well. I think that you are able to make significant progress, significant impact with what you are gifted to do as an individual than just what you are given academic training in. And if you seem to have had those things meet, then you explode. So let's say the footballer, maybe Bakary or somebody like that. If Mackensen was told to go and play maybe tennis, he will not be that much good as Mackensen that we know him, because then he will not be able to work with his talent maybe. So your natural talent that you have and getting the right education in it is so much important. And some people have that flair for business, and so if they get the right information on business, they will succeed faster than the other one who may not have. So this way you become astute. And so when you are there and you see that you take towards this kind of entrepreneurship and those things, then you start to gather information, read about it, train about it, because your greatness is there. It's not just the gift. The gift is in natural state. The information, the quality of education that you get on that gift, whether the ones that you're taking from books or the ones that you are getting from doing, all of them will add up some kind of value to you. They will add value to you. So you need to put in efforts and hours to do what you do, and that is where talent, it's required. When you are in your talent, there are things that you do, and you may not have even been trained for it. For instance, this writing book about entrepreneurship and maybe doing this, I was not trained as a communicator. I'm just passionate about it. I'm just passionate about this subject that we are doing. I'm just passionate about the fact that I try to build business. I gathered some kind of information I can share with people. Some people have had proper training, communication, you know, in doing these things. I don't have that. I didn't have that, but I'm passionate about it. I think I have talent for it. I think my mind is able to process some of this. So the things that we are practicing, we are able to share and maybe give some kind of information or some kind of inspiration to another person. And there's not much for me. There's nothing that gets better than being able to share what you know with somebody, especially what I know about doing business in our country, the mistakes, the errors, the complexities, the things, the growth part, the processes that we all go through for it to be where it is. If you go to other countries, they give a lot of seminars, a lot of talks, and the people who are giving the seminars, who are giving the talks, are people who are doing it. They are there, they are practicing, they have gone through a lot of things. In our country, unfortunately, the people who are teaching and talking about entrepreneurship are on salary somewhere. They're on pay slip somewhere, or they are government official somewhere, or some pastor somewhere teaching people about entrepreneurship and talking. I don't know if it's the best of option. I think that the best of knowledge is the one that is coming from the one who has really practiced something At least done something with it. It's gone through the heat, it's gone through the fear, it's gone through the challenges. Those kind of sharing, I am more interested in that. I'm not interested in somebody who's telling me something that he himself has not really put into practice. So that's why I share what I share. And that's, I think that when your talent meets that required training, you explode. So you need to put in the effort. That's why, because there's a lot of effort that you're going to put in the business that you say that you're building. And if you're not passionate about it, if you don't have the talent for it, if you don't have the energy, the desire for it, you will not be able to do the required hours that any business, any endeavor is needed for the endeavor to work. So when you are in your, you meet the needed hours by doing what you're passionate about. There's a certain number of hours that you need to put in any business for it to succeed. You need a certain number of hours, and the minimum number of hours that you need to succeed in trying to become an entrepreneur is about 10 years. It's about 10 years. That's about 10,000 hours. You need that. And anything that you give that much attention to, you will by all means overcome all the errors or the mistakes or the disadvantages that you started with. And so some people just giving maybe 1 year, and if it doesn't work, they give up. Some people give 2 years, and if it doesn't work, they give up. You don't have any excuse to give up when you have not done at least 10 years of that, and that's why you become an expert. If you look at any field, anybody who has become an expert at any field, that's what they become. They have practiced, they have done that. Great entrepreneurs that we hear, the top people that you hear all around the world, in Africa, in Europe, everywhere that you hear their name, they are not people who have done 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. There are people who have done 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Some of them, the top millionaires that we see, a lot of them have done. Even the young ones, they started early. Those people that they say, oh, he's a billionaire in 20 years. Do you know when he started that business? Some of them have been doing it for maybe since age 5 or 10. So he's in his 20 years, maybe 20 years or 25 years, and the fact that he's young does not mean he's not paying the dues. He's been practicing, he's been doing this. Some of them started programming at a very early age. They crash a lot of things, they destroyed a lot of things, and so when they're exploding in 20, you will say that, oh, he's very young. Not necessarily. He's putting the required hours. So you need that, and that's why you work with talent. That's why you work with gift. In that case, you have the natural strength to keep going to do the required minimum hours to succeed in anything. So the long hours that you put in will perfect the talent, which will secure continuous performance and delivery. So, but by this, I am not saying that if you are in school, don't study anymore in the field that you're in. They put you in school, your parents will expect you to come out with aggregate A, first class, those things that parents are very much, happy with. And you would want to do that for them. But those are not guarantees that you are going to be successful, even as an entrepreneur. So, become the best student that you could be. Maybe it could be a source of inspiration to you. Preparation for life entails passion and natural abilities in what you eventually do with your life. Great pianists, the people who play piano, great footballers, they train. Great pianists rehearse, great footballers train. Similarly, entrepreneurs train, and they train by becoming better at what they do. The thing about entrepreneurship is that the training that you're getting is from what you're doing, and sometimes it can go the other way. But it's still practicing. It's like the boxer practicing, just like that. So if you hear him winning all the matches, it's because he practiced. And fortunately, you practice by doing, and that is entrepreneurship. So the best education is in doing. If you look at us as a people, unfortunately, we are not the ones very much desperate about improving things that will change the situation that we are in as a people. Whether it will change the education, it will change the health, it will change the food, the housing, the water problems, the waste problems. We are not those people. We are just people who are just dancing, and very few of us are that much committed to thinking, to changing the narratives of our people. So, and mainly part of it is the education that they gave us, Because if you look at the culture that we still practice and I'm very proud of, if you go at this pace, you will forever be servant. If you go at this pace, where the world is going to the next They are going to space. They are looking at going to maybe do some production on another continent and bring the things. They are thinking far. They are programming. They are looking at robotics. They are looking at AI. They look like complex things, and we still drumming and dancing and calling it culture. It's amazing. It's amazing. So if people are thinking like that speed and creating wealth, creating solutions, and we are drumming and dancing and calling it culture, wherever we go, those are the things that are occupying us. We go to another country, we are the least in those countries. We are cleaning, we are doing all the menial jobs, yet we have time to go and drum and dance. There is something that has to change. And mainly it's part of the education, not just the formal education, but the way that we've been educated, even culturally, to define what with what. Because every group of people are desperate, trying to overcome the conditions that the environment throw at them. But we are performing cultural expeditions and thinking that we will. No, nothing changes if you're not productive. Nothing changes if you're not committed to changing them. And that's something that has to be done about the kind of education that we've been given. So the best education is in the doing. So entrepreneurship is about doing. Or you can talk and speak all the English and write all the best business books, but eventually comes to doing. Entrepreneurship is about doing. If you're not doing it, you can't just talk about it. You are not. And the wisdom begins. Understanding establishes and knowledge moves what has been established to the next level. The force that pushes you to start that business, because the entrepreneurship is about doing. So the level the level of wisdom that you have will push you to start something. If you're just talking, and writing the books and packing them somewhere, and you are not going to the field to try it, the wisdom is not strong enough to push it. And understanding is where you are able to build it for it to become beneficial to another person. And it will not go to the next stage until you increase in knowledge. So start something while you're in school. The best of it is that the 4 years that they give us to get a degree, mainly I think that a lot of it can be done in a year or two. But they push all of us to go there. Sometimes the whole week you are not doing anything, and yet you are there. You are there and sleeping and doing all kind of things. 4 years of your life is gone. Meanwhile, it could be compressed to maybe 2 years. And so when you're there and you have 3 hours, do something. If it's a product that somebody has done, if somebody has produced something and you can go to some of the halls and start to sell it, you're developing a sales skill. You're developing a skill that you can go to another person's room, knock on the door, show them a product, and convince them to buy. They can tell you that go away, you're not serious. They can insult you, but you can go to the next person and convince them. Your ability to overcome that shyness and your ability to even dare to say that I want to sell this product, or maybe you are developing maybe a software or whatever that you think you can develop and get, sell it to another person, and or it solves a particular need and you can build a business around it. When you're in school, there are a lot of things like, because you have a lot of time on your hand, it's better to try something once you're there. Don't forget about the books, but try. Because after all, the people who live in developed countries that they don't have a lot of problems, even those people in school are trying something. How much more those of us who you come out of school and for the next 3, 4, 5 years, you don't even have any job. So why would you want to complete school before you look at that? Because that is the separating factor for a lot of these guys who finish school and able to start a business. It's because when even they were in school, they were thinking, they were planning, they were doing something. Even if it's not a business that you can start, can you go to some school and teach? Can you go to a hospital and help them with maybe a document organization? Can you go to a provision shop and say, Madam, every Saturday I will come here and help you sell? Can you do something? We have too many of these young people, and in school doing nothing, and parents are, you have to do something, even if it's 100 Ghana that they will pay you every month. It will put you on your feet. If you're able to combine that work, and if you're able to combine your schooling, and you start to think, by the time that you're out of that school, you know exactly what to do. You are disciplined enough to be innovative and to think and to try. Because if you can pick a product and move from room to room, hall to hall, and show it to your colleagues and convince them to buy, you have developed a skill that majority of your friends Majority of your mates will take the next 10 years to have. You being just about the 2-3% of the whole class, of your group. Why? Because it's a skill that most people will never. Because we are just preparing people to just be academic, and that is why we have a lot of unemployment. The practice is weak. So you don't wait for the school to push you to say go and do internship. Go and do something. Get busy, and you never know what will come out of it. So do some business while you're in school. Start practicing where you want to go. I think so. We are talking of entrepreneurship. Start practicing. If you want to build a business and you're 20 years, you're already late. You're already late if you're 20. You're already late if you're 25. You're already late. Start practicing something, because you can finish the college 18, 19, 20 and come and sit at home for the next 5 years. Now, the next decision is when they finish, and after national service they don't have anything to do, then we go and do our MSc. The first one we are not doing anything with it. Then we go and get the second one. The next one we go and get a PhD. And then you see a lot of these guys who are come with PhD, have no experience or have no nothing, and they just sit on TV, be talking things that they have no idea. Because where we really need to change the narratives, the dynamics of economy, it's not in just people who can show anything to prove what they sit on TV talking about. They should show us a little that they should be done. They have done, and it's because when they finished the first degree, they were confused, so they rushed to do the MC, the MSc, or the MPhil, and the next one, they rushed to do the PhD, and now they talk like authority, but no substance. And we have a lot of them. We have a lot of them like that. And this part will not help us to develop as a group of people. We as a matter of fact, we don't need a lot of academics and consultants. We need a lot of people on the field producing something. Producing farm. Show us that after I've been able to produce 20 bags of maize. I've been able to produce 20 goat somewhere. I've been able to produce this chalewati. I've been able to produce, I've been able to build 20 houses. I've tried to build a business, raise this capital, and I've grown the revenue to maybe 10,000 a month. Something physical to show the endurance, the courage, the proof of your courage, the proof of your confidence, the proof of the idea that you had. Those are the people that we need. We don't just need people full of the theory and nothing to prove what they've done. And entrepreneurship is just about doing. So practice, even if you're in school. Don't just wait for the lecturer. Don't just wait for the professors. Just do something. Just do something. So the best time to start pursuing your dream is in your teens, particularly when it comes to building businesses, and that they should have told us. Because you will finish. People have completed this school and they're at home, or they're not even happy with the kind of job that they have, and they live in fear and panic. And some of them feel very much frustrated, and sometimes some parents will make you also feel that much frustrated, because they keep on telling you, we use all the money that we had to send you to school, and now 3 years after national service you don't have any job. They make you feel like you're useless. You will only be useless when you do not put what you learn into practice. And the best form of it is to go and learn how to sell something. You don't just even produce anything, just sell. And once from the selling, you start to develop your mind. So don't believe so much in the course. It's not the course that is going to separate you from everybody. Believe what you can contribute to society while you are still alive, and what you can use that course content to do to help society. Don't tell us, oh, I did engineering. Nobody cares about the engineering that you do. What can you produce with it? What change can you bring with it? So there are so many who think that going to school will help them to find destiny. That is not true. Destiny is found by trying something. Destiny is found in the heart. So school and degrees only give us inspiration and a broader mind, which can help us to bring out what is in our heart. And life, there's nothing as close to living life out of your heart, out of your convictions, out of your ambition. It's not just a degree. So nonetheless, if you're in school, get the best of grades, because that is also give us some kind of confidence. In the midst of unemployment and retrenchment, the people, now they are sacking a lot of people from banks and everywhere. The people with the natural flair to starting business must gather the courage to do something. Again, entrepreneurship is about doing. It's about doing. Do something. Even if you fail, you have tried. Do something. Do something. Don't just watch TV. Don't just read the book. Do something. Start a farm. Start a company, trade something, sell something, whatever that you can do. Start a business. You have completed national service 3 years, you're still at home hoping that somebody will get a job. You can be there for 10 years. Start something. Even if it's charcoal that you can bring, you have no idea. It's not so much the originality of the business idea, it is the quality of the people who are promoting the business idea. It doesn't matter how many people are doing it. What do you bring? The expertise that you have, the intelligence, the wisdom, the knowledge, the exposure that you have. That is what is going to change. That's what is going to bring the difference. And that's what business is about. So often the people who go to school in our society are more careful in starting business because the school extracts that strength from a lot of us. Even if they have the interest and the training to be in business, family and friends want us to go for jobs than starting one. Particularly when we just come from, particularly when we have just come out of school. They want us to go and look for a job, and we don't know where those jobs are in the first place. And that could be part of the reason we have such a large informal sector, because go to the retail business, go to farming, go to construction, go to mining, go to the health sector, go to education. Almost every sector of the economy, they are being run. The promoters, the business, the directors, majority of them, they are just being done by people who just have guts. The rest of the guys that we send to college, they're looking for jobs and they've been waiting. The problem is, even if you look for the job and you have it, fantastic. But if you've been trying for 4 or 5 years and you're not getting it, then you have to try something, start something, and never be afraid of failing. Re-educate yourself. Re-educate yourself, because family and friends will tell you, your family and your brother and your sisters will be very happy if you're the director of something, something, and you're on the TV. But if you start a business in your room, they say that this that could be part of the reason we have, so the so-called dropouts easily enter business because that is the only option available. And that's why we have a lot of informal. Because if I didn't have any certificate, then nobody maybe would want to even employ me. So I just try to hit my head somewhere, and you never know, maybe it will be somewhere. So the creativity required for molding business demands trained minds, and that's true. It's true. If you have some basic education and you try to enter in business and you start to educate yourself, you have, I think, if you have the strength, you have some better approach to building a proper business than when you cannot read and write. So, what people study in school should not restrict them from becoming what is in your heart. Education opens the mind up so that what is in the heart can come out, not the other way. If this thinking is embraced, the hopelessness among graduates will, So when you are in the school, yes, go and do the course. Does not really matter. You push it forward 20 years, 30 years down the line. Those who are successful, who feel successful, those who are doing something that they are passionate about, those who are making changes and bringing progress, those who have financial freedom, it really does not matter the area that you took so much, the course that you took. It really comes down to discipline, it comes down to courage, it comes down to ambition, goal, daring to become something. That's what really brings the difference. It's not that you did particular, because there are people with all kind of degrees and still struggling because the basis are not really degree. The basis is the largeness of your height, the largeness of your mind, the strength that you have, the courage. Can you work for long hours and push and keep trying? Are you adaptable? Are you persistent? Can you be trusted with something? Are you confident in pursuing that dream? How do you handle failure and mistakes? Are you disciplined? Do you have the heart? So those are the things that bring the difference. So it's not so much so the way they have made you to believe that once you finish that course, you succeed. I don't think it's really the case. It's not really the case like that. So education is a major tool for entrepreneurs, as it gives us leverage to be able to read, write, and understand. We should look at educating the people around us either. So the one thing about us is that if you also know something, share it with people. Share it, because you educate yourself when you start to share more. Share the things that you know, the things that you're learning, share them. Because we have a lot of knowledge gap to fill in Africa. Because the things that we've been processing, they don't work, and that's why we have the results that we have. It's not just because people are evil. Sometimes it's because people don't know much. So if you have discoveries, if you're learning something, are we not tired of just the comedy, then to sports and entertainment, and marriage and religious scenarios that they keep on pushing on us, whilst the others are developing, building systems and structures, building products, and pushing them on us, and we are here. And when we buy them, when we buy the cars the way we are happy, when is it going to hit us that somebody used their brain to create this car? You should be thinking about that, other than just say, I have a Jeep, I have a Range Rover, I have this. When are you going to think that? When can we also do something like that? Have an iPhone, have a very nice shoe, nice shirt. When are you also going to think, when can I create something like this? Have the best of this, the best of that. But some people are thinking, they are the ones creating. We just been educated to be consumers, and that has not helped us. And that has not helped us. It has made us poor. And if you don't change that kind of education, if you don't change that kind of thinking, we'll continue to produce people who are going to wait for help, wait for somebody to come and help them all the time. And that is a danger. That's a danger. So if you're educating yourself as an entrepreneur, don't think like that. Think like, I can do something wherever I am. And entrepreneurship is about doing. And that's the right kind of education. The one that they gave us, we just have to go and chew, pour, get the grace. They don't change anything that much in your life. Whatever you become, if you just chew and pour it and they give you a grade, you can become whatever. Your life is not going to be that much significant. You are not going to see that much significance in terms of change, and in terms of your contribution to society. Because really, the certificate that you had is just something that you chew and pour. And they mark you and they said that you had A, but there's no substance in that. And the best form of education, the best form of antidote to that kind of education is you practicing, doing what you were told, producing a resource, some kind of resource with it. You know, that's the way you start to correct the errors that they taught you. That's why they say that entrepreneurship is about doing. It's not just about reading, reading, reading. When you hit the ground, you will see that, oh, this one does not work, this one works, this one does not produce results, this one will produce results, and you will gather quick and get yourself on the go. So we should look at educating the people around us. So share the knowledge that you have, and if we are able to reduce illiteracy, we will solve a lot of problems. And that's what I like about the kind of education that the plan that the government is doing. At least a human being must be able to read and write. I think so. Even Moses and those people were able to write. How much more 2018? So I think it's dangerous for any group of people to have their citizens not being able to read to write. It's dangerous. They should be able to read and write, whatever language that they have. At least to be able to document and keep data, not just keeping everything in our head. And that's why people have taken advantage of the Africans far too long, because they are not able to. So when educated, every human being becomes better inspired, because education gives you some kind of inspiration, some kind of confidence, especially the school one. So when people are educated, they get the tools to use information for a better life. This helps us to reduce the poverty. And I think that there's a certain amount of poverty that is reduced if you're able to send people through school to a certain stage. There's a certain critical and unacceptable level of poverty that is easily overcome. Just mere fact that you send some people, majority of the people through this kind of, because poverty is really lack of information, the relevant information. So the content of education has not helped us. Has not helped us. The reason is that we are educated without much consideration of the needs of our society. If you are really educated, the right sense of education is being able to produce a people who will be aware of the problems that are around them and be committed to produce solutions to those problems. Then that is education. So if you've just been giving some kind of education, the problems still persist, then that kind of education is in question. That kind of education is in question. So our education system hardly takes the challenges facing our continent into consideration. After all, the examples that they give us in some of these schools Another examples that we can use to do anything. You give us all kind of foreign examples, and so we just copy and paste. Even at the top institutional level, people are bringing solutions that have nothing to do with what we have. So there are challenges. There are challenges. It's all because of the kind of education that, the kind of school system that we have, and the kind of information that they've given us. And so there's a lot that you have to retool your mind as an entrepreneur. Business needs another form of education, which comes by doing. So you can challenge your thoughts, you can challenge a lot of things that you know by just being committed to the doing, to the doing, to the doing, and weigh the level of education that you have. Weigh that level of education that you have, and you see that you can make a lot of changes. And so, think entrepreneurship. I am closing. I will do the first part today, and I'll do the next part tomorrow under chapter 3. And so, education is critical. You need to be able to read and write. But don't forget that this content of education is not prepared you to take risk. It's not prepared you to challenge the status quo. It's not prepared you to think creatively and solve problems. It's not prepared you to ask questions and to use your head. The kind of training that they have given us, the certificates that we are holding, if they told us or if the trainers brought us up to ask and think critically, we will not have this many problems as we have around. So the moment you start to say that I want to become an entrepreneur, it's about providing solutions, which means that you start another form of education where you start to ask questions and you're looking for solution. And it's that important. So the school will give you some ability to read to write, which is good, but itself will not separate you from the other one who could not read and write. After 20 years, the difference, or after 30 years, 40 years, the difference will be your commitment to doing something that you envision for yourself and for society. So don't just be hooked up with the course that you're doing. If you're a young man and young woman in the university, and be so much happy with it and be looking for a job afterwards. Because unfortunately, by the time that you are through, maybe, if the government is not that strong and quick, maybe they will not have a lot of jobs available for the number of people that they are providing from all these schools, which means that you are going to learn how to do something with what you have, and nothing comes close to it than entrepreneurship. And that requires another form of education, which demands that you do something. You ask questions, you build to overcome the shyness and the mistakes and the difficulties and the disagreements that will come around. So thank you very much for taking your time to watch. Thank you very much.